Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel for another video on Marvel Contest of Champions, and I've just done my first run of Uncollected. Well, it's only really one run if you consider the whole kind of thing with Thanos or Thanos. The fact is, this hasn't really been the smoothest of updates, especially with new content going in, and Kabam had a lot to prove for this, especially considering that we're having issues with the Stones event, where AI is just standing static and being in a defensive way. Unfortunately, I've not been able to get in there just yet, but in the forums, it's kind of riddled with a lot of this stuff, a lot of complaints. But the fact is, there's so much content on at the moment. As you know, we've got bounty missions that are on. We've also got Last Stand in the Battle Realm. We've got the last quest for the Stones. We've also got the Uncollected event here. So, yeah, there's a lot of content for the next 41 days. Yeah, that is a long time, but if you're free to play, it may take a lot longer, especially if you've got to get yourself back into arena. So you may be doing arena, dungeons, maybe even some other content, permanent content as well. So there's a hell of a lot going on in the next 41 days. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be covering all the boss battles, so you get to see the kind of gameplay and also the nodes that they get against me when I'm going up against them, some of the champions that I use and also some champions I recommend, and finally focusing on the Thanos fight. The name of the game with this champion is Don't Get Hit. The champion is going to gain lovely things like renewed vigor. Each time running is stunned, he gains a cruelty passive. So you may want to just opt for doing intercept, and I think that's the name of the game with this particular Uncollected run. Intercepts are key, but the fact is, if you've got something as well that interacts with minimizing evade type abilities, and there are several champions that do that. For example, that champion I really recommend is Killmonger based on True Strike. Also, do watch out for projectiles. That's one of the big issues about going up against Ronin is projectile-based attacks. The same thing can be said for Ebony Maw, but we'll cross that bridge in a little while. Okay, up next is Cull Obsidian. Now, this guy was all about keeping him at his L1. Now, obviously, first initial clear, you're going to make mistakes. And even though I've seen Marvel Contest of Champions mods video, there are still going to be mistakes going to be had because it's not your experience. You're not playing up against it with your device. You're just watching someone else's. The fact is, stick the champion to the L1. The champion does one up swipe, and then it's a follow-up kind of pause and then longer hit. So as long as you keep your distance and keep the champion at the L1, you'll probably not run into trouble, especially with avoiding the L2, which is going to be a case that's going to be unblockable. Also, look out for using Mystic Champions and also Physical Resistance. Two things that not really stung me in the butt because I didn't decide to use any Mystic-based champions. But maybe a Dormammu in order to keep the champion's health power reduced would have been a good idea. But protection shielding is a little bit frustrating, and why going into it, I used Medusa and then learnt to keep the champion at the L1, but it wasn't the best for damage output. So there's a whole heap of champions you could use for good damage output, and maybe I would say it would be nice to use a champion that has a little bit of kind of buffing power, but at the same time is rocking some sort of debuff effect. So Sabretooth, for example, has like bleeds, and also he has the aspects of Fury. But many other champions could be viable. You've got a Mega Red. There's so many to pick. I'm sure that you'll find a good option. But stick it to the L1. Avoid that. And that'll probably be the best method. Next up, in its husband and wife duo, do watch out for your power going with this champion here. If you're not very good at the L1, what I like to do with Proxima Midnight is on the L1, she puts a stick up and it comes down. I like to go up and then swipe back with it. So I watch it, go up and then swipe away. But we need to focus on Corvus Glaive because he is the main dude here. Okay, the one thing that's really annoying about this champion is the Sixth Sense coupled with parry. Do watch out for this, and maybe I was thinking in the future I might want to use a Mordo, just because like I want to get myself parried. That's what I want to have happen. And then the advantage is you'll be able to go into your special attacks. So even though for my initial run I didn't use Mordo, I think it's a case of next time I may use him. And he is a decent champion for certain situations like this, especially having class advantage. You can put Degeneration on, which obviously nobody's immune from. But the fact is, going up against Corvus Glaive, it is a bit tricky. But I like to think that using a Mordo could be a good counter for this, and something I may then test out in some more. But obviously, loads of other champions. I mean, I didn't use that champion, but there are so many other champions you can still use. Just watch out for Sixth Sense and being parried. But champions that work with it, even saying that Civil War version of Black Panther could be an option as well. A bit scary to say that, but an Awakened version could be quite powerful against this. But it's up to you which champions you choose. But there are workarounds, but I like that Mordo idea. Okay, now next up is Ultron. This is Ultron Prime version. And I wasn't quite sure about what to use with this. I thought about an idea that maybe the regeneration would be a bit more extensive, so I brought in Guillotine. But, yeah, in the end I just stuck to using Medusa. I found Medusa was the most effective. It sucks that I can't recommend anything more that would interact with this, and I was thinking about, well, Incinerates and trying to put on a debuff effect with having my Domino coupled with a Red Hulk synergy. And then I was like, do you know what? Nah, I'll stick it to a team built around Medusa, and that seemed to work out quite fine. But do watch out for this. I would probably say, as always, stick the champion to his L1 and hit back in. Maybe avoid champions that have too many buffs on them, because it will trigger Spite. So maybe those champions that do a little bit better. I would probably say even maybe look at Mordo, MODOK even. MODOK could be a good example, especially if you're expecting a lot of regeneration right to the very end. But if you've got a Medusa, she's very, very effective for this. The L1 is always the best one to avoid. The L2, don't even try to avoid that one. But the L1 off of Ultron Prime is usually the best. Okay, so at this moment in time, I am finding it a little bit difficult to find viable champions against Ebony Maw. Especially you go against him once, and then you go up against him twice. But also you go up against the others once. And twice, it seems. So yeah, these Thanos bosses here replicate the Infinity War versions. Well, I definitely know this one is. But then I'm not quite sure on these two here whether or not they're going to be like the ones that are similar to the one we're going to show in a moment. The end boss. But then Ebony Maw himself. Now, I think I ended up using Domino. But I did find that the frustration of getting there is largely with these three here. And I don't know if Kabam are doing a real big push this month to try and make as much money as possible by having these champions here in a month that we're meant to be very much celebrating Marvel rather than being frustrated by Marvel games. The fact is, yeah, don't know really what to say of like a viable strategy for these. I was thinking about the idea of Hulk Ragnarok based on the fact that, well, you know, if he gets any kind of negative effect, especially degeneration, he responds in kind with obviously Face Me. But I don't know, I just didn't really feel that was really working, especially with any kind of class advantage. Either way, I'm sure something will present itself very shortly as a viable alternative, but he is pretty powerful, which is annoying. If we're talking about projectiles coming towards you, you could even look at Daredevil, but I don't think that's going to be a viable strategy. Also look out for critical setup, because I think that the champion doesn't allow for much critical hitting. So that's why I was using Domino quite a bit. But any champion that is high on the critical level and can do an extensive amount of critical hits, this could and will be incredibly viable. Also, I would say make sure to study these particular Infinity War versions or different versions of Thanos. It's not going to be the Act 3 simple version. It's going to be a pain in the butt, so you're going to have to really watch out. But let me just emphasize the fact that you will need to intercept. This month seems a very much strong intercept type month. First of all, I took an initial run at this guy and I was using some Avengers, but then I was thinking after a while that, do you know what, I just need my most powerful, and it just seemed better for me to use them. And unfortunately, I don't have my most powerful is an Iron Man Infinity War. It's 5-star, it's rank 345, and it's just not cutting the mustard, especially comparing it with others. So I went in with my strongest, and it seemed to work better for the situation. But there are bits and a few learning curves that you need to understand for this. And like I said, interception is key, but also timing is key. As we know, power gain is massive. If you do bring Avengers in, it does help out quite a bit. But if you've got strong Avengers, strong ranked Avengers, then that's great. But if you don't, then you do you, I think, in this situation. Also, there's a stage where something like a Hyperion would be really of advantage in the circumstance. So to begin with, let's start off. When dropping below 95% health, Thanos activates the Primeval Cocoon and has a maximum 1 bar of power. And in order to shrug this off, you'll need to perform a heavy attack or a special attack. That's exactly what I was saying about having Hyperion. Because of the rate of power gain, it is quite effective for this process. Also, when you then drop below 65%, Thanos activates his Ruthless Pandemonium, instantly fills his first bar of power and increases his maximum power to 2 bars. And I think this is the point where you get inverted controls. But if you're good with your inverted controls and you know when to hit that and what is what, which is like, you know, instead of swiping back, you swipe forward. Instead of doing a block stance, you do something else. It's like you need to properly understand that way of it, because if you do, you're able to damage output a lot more. Personally, I can't be messing around with that. It just screws with my mind too much and I want to get back into the fight. For me, it was a case of just doing and ending an attack with a light combo, which was a case of like hitting light, 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 and then ending it. So it then ended the process, ended the inverted controls, and I was able to just like get on with the fight because, like I said, I ain't got time for that. When you're dropping below 30%, Thanos activates his Warmonger's Imperative, instantly fills first 2 bars of power and increases his maximum power to 3 bars. This is the thing that kept on getting me, and I think this is when I literally just was getting so annoyed where I was trying to time it and my timing was well off. And the intercepts, the way the AI has been moving, it's been very weird in this update. But the fact is, yeah, look, if you make mistakes, you make mistakes. And the fact is, I tried to time it well, didn't time it well. It just ended up with egg in my face. But the fact is, you just got to do your thing. If you can do it, you can do it. If not, be prepared to spend a bit on revives. But your intercepts are key in this particular thing. And same thing applies for Master, Heroic, whatever you're doing. You've got to time it well. Also, if you are struggling, I would probably say it's good to put on extra boosts, maybe boosts that are going to be beneficial to your health. Do bear in mind, if you use revives, then it would be an advantage to put your health back up to the top, as you're going to take damage. If you don't get the safeguard, you're going to die. But at the same time, if you're able to intercept, get that dash attack in, dash attack sorted, you get the safeguard, and then you'll be able to withstand the might of Thanos, which will be great. Even more so if you're rocking an Avengers team, which is going to be really effective. But do bear in mind, 4 stars are going to be all right, but your game is going to have to be on point if you're using them, because they will take damage. And for this, I'd really say use your strongest champs, because he is a little bit of a frustration. Like I said, there's going to be people out there that are going to be absolutely brilliant at this, and you know, hats off to you. But for those that maybe want to take it as easy as possible, but at the same time smash it out, it is frustrating. I even think that it's frustrating for the previous one, where you're facing off against 3 Thanoses. And the annoying thing is you've got to complete this 5 more times after the initial clear. That's 6 times in total. Especially going up against these Thanoses, and as well as doing like 2 Ebony Maws. It's just not very nice. It doesn't feel very nice. So your game has got to be on point. Your champs are going to be the strongest, the fittest, the bravest, the impetuousness, whatever they've got to be. The fact is, I really would recommend, if you've got any spare boosts lying about, use them. Also, maybe focus and getting this done before the 1st of May, before we go back into Alliance War seasons, and your strongest champs are then prioritized for that particular event. So it kind of sucks if you don't have an extensive roster, but I'm sure people will go beyond and get this absolutely smashed. But in any case, guys, with so much content coming on at the moment, and also a lot of stuff that I'm personally busy with, the fact is, it is going to be a lot of content to get done in a very short space of time. I wish you good luck in the grind. Make sure to think wisely, read notes, and read things correctly, especially with other things that are going on this month. Have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Thanks very much, and bye-bye for now.